Replacing the entire wishbone is tempting. It's quick and easy, but you don't get to choose the quality of the ball joint that comes with it. When you replace the ball joint yourself, you stay in control, and you can install that part that you trust for years. I'm giving this ball joint kit another go. It didn't work out great when I used it on the hub. It might be different this time as it's more suited for a wishbone. Let's look it in the vise and come up with a plan. First, we need to figure out which way it comes out. Does it come out from the stud side or the housing side? Give the housing side a good clean with a wire brush, then check it for a circlip. There isn't one here, so it must be pushed out from this side. Clean this side with brake cleaner and check again for a circlip. There really is nothing here either. So there's nothing obvious that's holding this in, which is a bit strange. We'll carry on and we're going to remove the dust boot clamp around the ball joint. Just be careful it doesn't spring back and catch your fingers. With the dust boot pulled off, there really isn't any circlip. Never press on the stud, it can shatter. Instead, press on the housing here. I'm using an end press piece that sits on the housing to push it out. Next, select the clamp and the threaded rod. The press piece has a raised lip that slots into the clamp to prevent slipping, and a hole for the stud to fit in. Together, these will pull the ball joint out from this side. Select a cup for the ball joint to pull into. This one fits around the housing and keeps it from slipping. Next, pick the other end press piece from the box. It has two sides with various raised lips, so pick the one that slots perfectly into the cup. Place it on and notice how the threaded rod slots perfectly into the locating hole of the end press. This goes through the clamp, securing everything and preventing slipping. Make sure the wishbone is locked tight in the vise so it won't move. Place the end press piece and the clamp on the stud side, then the cup and the other end press piece on the housing side. Now wind it in with a threaded rod. This setup is solid. The only spot it might slip is the stud housing. With the ratchet in position and holding the clamp, I start winding. These ball joints are very tight and need a lot of force, so it's important to reduce slipping as much as possible. Try to make sure the components are properly seated and slotting into each other, otherwise the setup can slip at weak points and collapse. This kit works really well for removing this type of ball joint. It comes out cleanly with no hammering. Clean the area with brake cleaner and apply some grease to get it ready for installation. Take the new ball joint and check the housing side. Always press on the outer diameter, never the inner side. Find an end press piece that only contacts the outer diameter and won't slip. Because the end press piece has a locating hole, the threaded rod will pull the ball joint from this side. For the stud side, I'm using the same cup. It clears the joint and it sits firmly on the wishbone. Then, fit the other end press piece, making sure the raised lip is facing out, so the clamp can slot straight onto it. With everything assembled, we've got a solid setup that shouldn't slip, as all the components are properly slotted together. With the ratchet in place and holding the clamp, I start winding. It's quite tough to pull it in and hold it at the same time, so I use a crowbar to counteract the movement and carry on. There's some flex from the wishbone in the vise, so I have to do my best to stop it rotating. The ball joint starts to go in slightly off, which is a trade-off with a DIY kit, but it will pull itself straight, and by the time it's fully seated, it'll sit flush with the wishbone housing. With the ball joint now installed and fully seated, we move on to fitting the circlip using the correct tool. I always like to check it can rotate freely in the groove. Take the packet of grease and work it all around the joint whilst rotating it. These joints already have some grease packed in at the bottom from the factory, so don't worry too much about covering every part of the ball joint. Take the new dust boot and clamps. First, fit the smaller clamp on the top of the boot, then slide the boot into place, closing the bottom around the housing. To install the larger base clamp, stretch it out a little first, as these are extremely tight. I'm using a zip tie to help with installation. It holds one end in place for initial positioning and ensures the clamp is properly lapped when finished. Slide the clamp over the joint, pull the zip tie down and seat one end. Hold it whilst using a flat screwdriver to work the clamp over in sections. Be careful not to pierce the boot with the other end. Once it's fully seated, rotate the zip tie to make sure the clamp isn't overlapping and it sits perfectly lapped. And that's it, all done. If you found this video helpful, subscribe and I'll make sure more DIY content like this keeps coming.